Everybody, it is August the 12th, it's 6 o'clock. Will everybody please rise for the invocation? Pastor Jackson, please. Let's pray.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come before you tonight to say thank you. Father, we truly thank you for this gathering. Father, we thank you for this assembly. And Father God, as we come, we seek your direction. Father, we seek your guidance to help make Marlboro a better place. And Father God, we pray that you touch each and every dear heart, God, and remove us out of the way, Father God, that we can come together in agreement for the better of your people and this county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank everybody for coming out tonight. Council members, thank y'all for coming. I know it would be a very important meeting that we are going to get into. Before we do the approval of agenda items, we need to add something under new business, item C. Request to add 2022, 2023, 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25 to the current day. Council minutes, budgets, and credit card statement to the website.
I move we add that to the agenda.
Second.
Motion been made second, any discussion? Unanimous. So up on the C, we will address that issue at that time. Okay, now I can get approval of agenda items.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made second. Any corrections, omissions? All in favor? Unanimous. Approval of minutes, July 8th, 2025, regular meeting.
Motion approved. Second.
Made and second. All in discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. We don't have anyone from South Carolina dedication members here present. Mr. Charles Nisley Senior, is he here available? Is he here?
He said he was gonna be here.
Okay. Okay. Well, what we'll do, we'll move on, and when you come, we'll make sure we address them. Ms. Betty Jo Quick, NAACP, presentation.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, I met Mr. Chair, Mr. Woods, and to the councilman and councilwoman here in the present. I stand before you on this house of room to ask that you would consider, hate crime ordinance put in place. And I've, made some other contacts throughout the county and the state of Florence County. They, have adopted one and put one in place. But, in this ordinance, it states that, to add a subject, subsection, providing that a person who violated any section of the city code or ordinance is in the intent to intimidate another person or persons in whole or in part because of the actual or perceived race, color, creed, religion, ancestry, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, physical or mental disability or national origin of other persons or persons guilty of sections offended of hate, immediate intimidations, and shall be punished as provided in section 1.7. If you can look inside of your sheet right here, you'll see where Florence County have passed this within their county. And the reason why they passed it because throughout the state of South Carolina, there are only 2 states in South Carolina that have not a hate crime bill in its place, and it's the state of South Carolina and Wyoming. And what I'm doing is asking that you all consider putting a hate crime ordinance in place in our county to protect our citizens. And it will protect them. It's not about race, it's just race, or it's not about, color or whatever. It's all across the board to protect the citizens here in Marlboro County. This hate crime, as it stated at the bottom, it said that, the hate intimidation ordinance will create a section offense, and if found guilty, can be punished
signed up? We had no one sign up, from the citizen. We see that, we need to go to executive session, so I get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we need to go to executive session to discuss contractual matters. All in favor, go to executive session? Unanimous. We'll be adjourned for a few minutes. May I get a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved. Second. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to come out of executive session. Back in regular session. Before we move any further to the old business, I do see Mr. Charles Midgley Senior, for the Airport Commission. How you doing, sir?
My name is Charles Mitchell, and I'm chairman of the Marlboro County Airport Commission. Mr. Wyman asked me to make a report to the council on the general operations of the airport. And I'm embarrassed to say it's been so long since I've been to a county council meeting. I've been in the old administration office building trying to find a meeting place for 15 minutes. I apologize
Mr. Midget, yeah, you're right. I know that the 5,000-foot runway, that is one of the better runways in the outside of the Florence Airport, that's one of the longer runways in the PD, I
Yeah,
think.
it's a very nice, facility.
And what I've wondered, and I've done a lot of flying, small planes too, is has there been any question about lengthening the runway to 6,000 or 6,500
It
feet?
started off as about a 4,000-foot runway, and after it was about 10 years old, we added another 1,000 feet. So that gives us a 5,000-foot runway, and that will handle, up to about a big private jet, like a Gulfstream or something like that. It will handle that big that large traffic. It wouldn't handle, an airline or something like that. But a 5,000-foot runway is pretty good for community outside.
But you do have, because I go by there a lot coming from the paper mill, you do have room though, if at some point in time it came and it needed to be extended to 6,000 feet,
Yes,
you've got the,
room. It's
got
got
room.
room on either end that you could add another 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to divide it up. Probably for a community our size, we would not be large enough to have a commercial airline come in.
Right,
and,
right.
It probably would be prohibitive to pay that cost. It's got a runway that's 75 feet wide. The largest jets, require, or prefer, they don't require, they prefer 100-foot width in the runway, so if you were to lengthen it, you'd have to put another 25 feet on the width of it, and it would really get into some big costs.
Okay,
We've looked into that.
appreciate that.
Mr. Midgley, thank you for your report. I'm Councilwoman Pearlie Lawson, District 4.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like very much to have the opportunity to visit that site. Since I've never seen it, I would like that someone make some arrangements for me to at least visit that facility, so I'll understand more about what it looks like.
What, I didn't understand that, Ms. Lawson.
I would like to visit the site, the airport, please.
She wants to visit, she would like to visit.
Oh, yes, well, we would love to have you.
Thank
visit.
you very
And if
much.
you'll let me know, I'll arrange for you to do it.
Thank you.
We
If you leave your number and some type contact, please contact me. I'll contact.
All right,
I'll
I
have the
will.
administrator give you my information.
Yeah, because it's your airport.
Thank you.
Y'all have complete control over it, and, we are strictly acting in an advisory capacity. We don't have any, authority to spend any money. It's your money that we are spending.
Thank you. I just wanted to have a visit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, old business. Ordinance number 872. An ordinance authorizing the sale of the property known as the former Marlboro Park Hospital and North Cook Development, both owned by Marlboro County, to a prospect known as Project Fountain. Its successor and assignment. Second reading.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify for the council and for the public that ordinance 872 is simply an ordinance that gives Marlboro County the right to convey property, as we do anytime we convey property. This is not a negotiation as to what's going to be there. What I can say now is that, and I don't want to get into negotiation, but what I can say is that we are looking at a medical facility being at the Marlboro Park Hospital building and other type of developments around. So it's not, we're not just giving the property up for someone to tear the hospital down or to replace it with something different. We do want a medical facility in that location, and that's part of the negotiation that's going on right now. And I don't want to get too much detail about that, but I do want to say at least that part, just to calm some minds and make sure people understand what we're trying to really do here in Marlboro County.
Okay. All right,
Mr.
I have
Chairman,
a
I make a
motion?
motion that we approve ordinance number 872.
Second.
motion been made in second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Ordinance number 873, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of the purchase and sale agreement between Marlboro County South Carolina, and Project Lunchbox, authorizing the conveyance of property from the county to Project Lunchbox, subject to certain conditions set forth in the purchase and sale agreement, and addressing others matter related thereto. This is also the second reading.
So again, as we said in the last read, this is us making good on one of our incentives, for a company that's been here for a long time and one of our largest employers in this country, in this county, sorry. And so we're just, purchasing that property and conveying it to that entity as part of our incentive that we already approved with the prior project.
Okay.
I move we approve ordinance 873.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion?
Discussion, please.
Go ahead.
I noticed on page 18,
Go ahead.
the company proposes that it will do what we call the Nichols test and focus on number 3, making sure that the nature of the project is up above board. That's what it means. And that that this company will serve the public interest. And when we do this, is that what you're understanding too?
That's our understanding, yes.
So the company will make sure that the public itself will benefit from this project.
Yes, and part of the benefit, to the public is the fact that, this company had announced and agreed to move from
Okay.
Marlboro County. And that benefit to that public is the fact that they get to expand their operation and keep the jobs here in Marlboro County.
Okay.
And that's really the main benefit that we have in that project.
That clears something up for me.
Okay. Any more discussion? And there's a motion, there's been second. All in favor? Unanimous. One abstain. Too close to me. New business, resolution 082501. A resolution establishing the millage rate for the fiscal year 2025-2026, and authorizing the county auditor and the county administrator to set the loss credit factor.
Mr. Chairman, I have our financial director, Mrs. Wesley Park, and also available is our tax assessor, Mr. Kev Kaplan. Kev, are you?
Yes, sir.
Please come out.
Good evening,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, council members, Mr. Clyburn. You have before you a memo that I've drafted. You can find the resolution establishing millage rate for fiscal year 25-26. Millage rate for fiscal 25-26, based on what you'll hear, will remain at the 98 mills. They've also attached supporting documentation, worksheets that were prepared for the countywide reassessment that was performed in spring of this year. We'll get right into the presentation. Marlboro County reassessment and millage setting 2025. Marlboro County hosted a millage setting workshop on May 28, 2025 at the County Administration Building. In attendance were the incoming county treasurer, then, the county auditor, county tax assessor, Marlboro County School District Superintendent and CFO, Marlboro County CFO, Blenheim Town Treasurer and Lee County Treasurer. A 21-page document as prepared by South Carolina Department of Revenue entitled Marlboro County Millage Setting was provided and is included in this council packet. Marlboro County staff used the computation of rollback and budget shortfall computation to set millage using the format as provided by SCDOR. And of course, I think most recognize SCDOR as the authority in this matter. The South Carolina reassessment process is mandated by Act 145 of 1995, requiring countywide reassessment every 5 years to update property values. Tax bills are issued on new values. Reassessment is often referred to as the tax 20 of the South Carolina Code requires municipalities and counties to roll back property tax millage so that the reassessment does not create a windfall for the city or county. However, Section 6-1-320 of the South Carolina Code of Laws states the county or city can look back 3 years and capture the effect of inflation and any unrecovered prior year deficit. For Marlboro County, the unrecovered effect of inflation equates to 0.3 mils for 2022, 5.3 mils for 2023, 4.0 mils for 2024, and 2.9 mils for 2025. In addition, the unrecovered deficit of $366,970 is also an allowable to be collected through a millage levy.
Mr. Park,
Yes,
could you go back one, just for clarification for me?
yeah, let me go back. Yeah,
So section 1243-220, that refers to the millage rollback of the code of laws, correct?
that's correct.
So
Yes.
section 61320 is a totally different section, but it refers to, recover, previous year's debt in the millage, correct?
That's
They're
right.
actually two separate
They're
entities
two-
within
they're
itself.
they're two
So it's
different-
not the same code, section 1243-220, than 1243-221.
They're two
So-
separate
So there's a
sections.
millage rollback for one part,
Right.
period, then there's an unrecovered prior deficit in another part, period. Correct.
Unrecovered deficit as well as unrecovered millage.
Yeah, but there's two separate things.
Right.
The reassessment with the rollback's one.
Absolutely.
Is that, okay, just for clarification for me,
Okay.
thank you.
Act 388, the reason I'm talking about this is it has an impact on, the limitation on increase in reassessment year. It was adopted in 2006. It eliminated school operating taxes on all primary legal residences in exchange for a penny sales tax. It guaranteed all counties will receive $2.5 million in school operating taxes for primary legal residences. And that has been a major benefit to our school district. It restricts annual property tax increase to the consumer price index and growth, and 15% increase maximum in reassessment year. When we look at county reappraised values, the real property subject to appraisal, $862,067,800, and that, those amounts are provided by the tax assessor. Ag use, $54,324,750, watercraft, aircraft, and business personal property, $4,404,810. Utilities, railroad, and tax commission, $108,942,240. Manufacturing, $109,631,330. Vehicles, $135,829,920. Total, $1,275,200,850.
It's not
One billion, I'm sorry, $1,275,200,850. Thank you. Okay. The pre-appraised values, you can see, the significant change in the pre-appraised were real property subject to appraisal, 745, 284, 560. The other thing we've seen is some change with, particularly with, utilities and with vehicles. So we saw some increases there. All right, total, $1,151,213,520.
Question.
Yes.
With the manufacturing, was Mohawk in that and not in that? I mean, it's going up.
Probably not at
so-
that point in time, I'm thinking, no, well, there again, that would have been a
assessed, value, $77,229,470. Now, when we look at county growth assessed value exclusion, there is an exclusion for, new construction as well as API, which is accessible transfer of interest, additions of vehicles, and increases with, in this example, it ends up being utility system. I think most of that had to do with Spectrum when they came into the county. So the total exclusion for growth in terms of assessed value, $1,839,290. Now, we take the county reassessed value, and then we reduce the various, things that are excluded from, value due to reassessment. You can see the county assessed value less growth ends up being $75,390,180. We look at the prior year assessed value, $70,737,890. The increase in value due to reassessment, $4,652,290. Now, we look at the pre-assess, you can see how that works. And here's a rollback formula. You take the prior year taxes levy divided by the adjusted new reassessed value. So the taxes levy, $7,069,423. Divide that by $75,390,179. You end up with a 93.7 rollback millage. Now the question comes into play. Will the 93.7 mills fund the county budget requirement? And the answer is no. There's a shortfall of $303,364 based on the 25-26 budget. To meet, and I did put a presentation on you, so you need to refer back to this. To meet the 25-26 budget needs, 6-1-320 of the South Carolina Code of Laws allows the county to look back 3 years and capture unrecovered allowable millage. Okay. So when we look at the budget needs, Marlboro County adopted a general fund budget for 25-26 in the amount of $16,492,894, which was $1,736,851 greater than the 24-25 budget. Looked at some significant expenditure increases in 25-26, and that includes sheriff and detention salary and benefits, an increase there, $289,700. Salary and other benefits throughout the rest of the county's general fund, which are, right, absolutely, with the salary and benefits, the 141,700, that also includes moving those part-time employees who are only making maybe $10, like for example, the bailiffs, at the clerk of court. They move from $10 an hour to $15 an hour. So part of that cost, in terms of salary and benefits, is associated with, increasing the rate of pay for those part-time employees. In the sheriff's department, of course, we had some, requested increases there, same with the detention center. We also have a cost of living, and year-end bonus. So we had $116,000 was cost of living, and $60,000 was a year-end bonus. Now, when we look at the total salaries and benefit increase, that's $607,400. Now, let's go to some of the other numbers that are of significance. 25-26, we talked about salaries and benefits. We also had an increase you look at all those items together, it's $1,412,500. Pretty significant. To meet the budget shortfall per code 6-1-320, 4.3 mils of the 9.6 mils available are used to add to the 93.7 rollback millage to arrive at 98 mils. How does the Marlboro County General Fund, per capita general fund income and spending and millage rate compare with the other two upper PD counties with similar population and similar demographics? Specifically, we're talking about Dillon County and Marion County. We can see our budget, 16,492,894 population, 25,704. That means we've got per capita spending of $641.65. We compare that with Dillon, we're looking at 24,982,265 for 27,698. Per capita spending ends up being $901.95. When you look at the difference between Marlboro and Dillon, that's $8.5 million in terms of general fund budget. That's really significant. We've got an actual number for Marion County. We indicated it was in excess of 25 million. The budget there, 25,966,500 on 28,508. That math works out to about $910 per capita. So you can see our millage, our general fund is very low in comparison.
Does the city of Dillon collect taxes for, I know, for like a hospitality tax out of the county?
I would think they
So
would.
that's probably, but that would probably be a huge chunk of their budget, I would imagine.
I'm guessing for the in city, but I'm not sure in terms of those that are, what's inside city limits and what's out in the county.
Yeah, I mean, you have a major interstate going
They
through
do,
the county. Yeah,
they do,
so
and
there-
I'm
you have
sure
to have
that
some
helps.
revenue from that, and will probably have a huge impact. I mean,
Yeah.
we have, Mr.
I can.
Yeah, I mean, so, I mean, I was just looking at those
They do
numbers.
have, some of the hospitality, but I know that they don't do a lot of the accommodations taxes, that they collect because, the hotels, kind of fought that back, in Dillon County, so they don't collect that. But yeah, they do have some amount of hospitality over there.
But the population is so close to us, and
Oh,
we,
yeah.
and we doing it for 16 million, we doing pretty good.
What's a meal?
We doing pretty good.
Dillon County?
It's about 80,000.
So a meal's worth 80,000?
That's
Before
what
the
it was
reassessment?
before the reassessment. I'm sure it's higher than that now.
Marion
I don't
County
think they
tax
did it
cess?
this year.
Okay, I'm not sure
I'm
what
not sure if they did
or
it,
not.
I don't think they did it this year.
But when we looked in the book, that indicator was, the mill value was like $80,000. Now, if we just look at, per capita, just on a chart, you can see obviously we're significantly lower. When you compare Marlboro, Dillon, and Marion County too, look at the 25-26 general fund millage. Marlboro, we're at 98 mils. Dillon, 134.5. That's a significant difference between, that's 36.5 mils. That's a pretty big difference. Marion, 127. That's 29 mils. So, I really think that, there again, this is just
Does their fire EMS knowledge dedicated, or is it included in their budget?
I'm not certain how much of that is actually separate from the county. And I know there's a lot of factors
Yeah,
that
a lot of
can
factors.
obviously impact, millage rates. But, I don't know whether y'all have any questions about the presentation here. I included the workbook that was prepared by the South Carolina Department of Revenue, in a session that the county hosted on May 28th, and the worksheets are
that's the same millage rate that
No
was
change.
before. No change,
Mr.
no change.
If I may state, for the record, we were at 98 mills. Just as we said, section 1243, we had to roll it back to 93.7 mills.
Correct.
So that's where we had to operate at 93.7 mills for the reassessment. We could not
Right.
generate any more.
Correct.
So we did have a millage increase. We did not go above the millage that we were used last year, but there's a millage increase of 4.0 mills to generate the extra $300,000, which is needed to meet what's in the budget. So, as my statement back a couple months ago is, whenever I asked, was there a millage increase? There is a millage increase. You have to roll the mills back from, he's got it right here, to meet the budget.
Right.
We have to roll back for section 1243-220, we have to roll the millage back to meet the law. That sets us at 93.7 mills. To move forward, to increase the budget, there is a 4 mil increase, which is allowed by section 61320. We could have went up 12 mills or 9 mills.
We could have, yeah.
So, but for the record, it is a millage increase. It does not go above the mills that we had last year,
Previously stated.
but it is a millage increase. I want to make that clear.
I wanna make something clear too. 98% is where we were, 98% is where we are, okay? We did our budget, knowing what we had. We asked everybody we want to get the most for the least impact with the county. Well, we knew the reassessment, hadn't been done in so many years. We're so far behind everybody that we had to do something there with the 15%. Everybody knows we got a 15% increase on the reassessment. Not hiding nothing, we're gonna be everything out there. So what we come back to is this. The school situation that we had brought us in a situation where that we could retain some of that money to help us so that we could give the fire department, EMS, right on down the sheriff's department, the county, everybody that had to have some money, that they had to have more funds to operate. It gave us a chance to do that, because of us not sending the money to the school, which I pray and hope the school gets their stuff together, but right now, we're trying to handle county business. So, what I'd like to say is, what would the mills have to go up today if we hadn't have done what we done with that situation with the school and everything? Would the mills be at least 107 probably today?
You had to go up 24 mills. I did the math. You had to go up 20 for the recovery and 4 mills additional.
So-
That would get you to 24 mills.
So 98 plus 24 mills is where we'd be at. So we doing all this, we done all of this, and we're not going up on the mills. We're still at 98, the same thing we were last year is what I'm saying. We're still at 98, and we did all of this, and I want to thank council for doing it, because we had the opportunity this year to do it and give the people what they needed, and we'd never get this chance again. And I'm just thank the ones that had the foresight to see it, and the majority of council did, and so I appreciate that, and I want to explain that side of it too. There's nothing to hide here. I'm not trying to hide anything. I just want to get everybody to know everything. Don't hold nothing back. Tell it like it is. And that's why we still at 98 instead of plus 24 mills. We still at 98 by the way we done it. Any other way would be at 98 plus 24 mills today. And that's the fact. That's the fact of it.
If we hadn't had a reassessment, how much would we had to go up on our budget? If it was not reassessment year?
Well, the issue is, we ended up having to increase 1.7. We were already using 1.7 of reserves. So we really ended up needing
So without reassessment year, you would've went up a millage increase.
Yeah, we would.
Either way we look at it, we call it what it is, it's a millage increase. If we hadn't have done the $1 million, if we did not have the opportunity to
We
do
have
a
road
FILO
for it.
reallocation, if we didn't have the opportunity to do a FILO reallocation, it would've been equivalent to 20 to get to where we were, and the 4 mills now to get the 300 shortfall.
But we
That's
did,
basic.
we did have it though, and we took advantage of it. And,
We-
the majority of us
We
did.
went up, we're going up
The
4
majority of us
mills.
did.
Whoever looks at the camera, you're going up 4 mills. It's here.
No, we were at 98 and we're gonna be at 98, right on.
Well, I tell you-
Next year,
But,
this year, 98.
Also, Ms. Lawson got, she needs to say
I
something.
would like to have this question directly to the tax assessor, please. Thank you for coming, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
It's about the reassessment process. And I understand you and I've had a conversation as far as the 15 across the board, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when we did it across the board, when you did it across the board, you just, without looking at anyone's property, just put everybody's property 15%, is that right?
We adjusted all properties in the county at a 50% increase.
Okay.
Well, I say all. We did not adjust new construction, APIs, things of that nature, did not get the 15% because they were already at market value.
Okay, my concern is this, the 15%, and even though it's already done, could have been done with increments of maybe 8 and a 7%. That would have caused a shortfall for us, is that what you're understanding? Okay, let me say this then. My concern is this, and I appreciate your staff, I appreciate to the highest, y'all say you're working hard, I don't know, I just take your word for it. But is this the only process that to assess property value by just doing across the board? You say that we don't have the staff to go out and really assess the property. I understood you to say that.
Well, what you're locked into is, the state sort of locks us into 15 is the maximum that we can adjust for.
Right.
The only other way to increase your value would have been to have gone out to visit every property in the county in hopes of, and I'm sure that you would have, picked up things that we did not know existed, such as outbuildings, swimming pools, carports, whatever the case may be, things that we did not know. What that would generate at this time, I could not say, because I don't have a clue as to how much may be out there or how much would be generated.
So how will you, since there may be property that has increased a lot with adding on things, how would you know that? Because on our tax assessment sheet that we have, it doesn't describe any number of buildings as far as, it's just say, because we had a resident come to talk about the fact that she had demolished a particular piece of property on her lot, and so it's an empty lot. What is happening for those people who don't know to come to council, don't know to come to you and ask for a reassessment type thing? Because there should be an appeal process.
There is an appeal process, yes, ma'am. By state statute, there is the appeal process. It is from the time the bills are mailed out this particular year, it goes to till September 15th of this year is the appeal process, because we had a reassessment year. That being said, as far as properties changing, part of it falls on the individual themselves. They need to notify the tax office when the properties do change. If they delete something, if they add something, things of that nature, as well as taking out permits. If permits were taken out where they should be, then we would be getting all the new construction and the small buildings and things that we're not getting. Because through the permits, we go out and investigate every permit that's taken out.
So that's the problem. How are you capturing permits as far as who in the county is making sure that these businesses have permits in their window? Who's doing that?
I mean, that's a different item altogether. What I'm talking about is a permit to take out 2 building structures.
Okay, but are we not losing property monies if we have businesses who have businesses and you're not capturing that?
I think you're asking maybe about a business license.
Okay,
I mean, that
well,
doesn't deal with the real estate.
Right, I apologize, you're right. But the question I have is, when you're not putting the number of buildings on our property, I could have taken something off my property. If I've had a house and 2 other structures and I'm demolished those, that process, I may know that, but for those who do not know that, in that process of appeal, and then for those taxpayers whose bill maybe have landed on your desk because of the wrong address, how will they know?
Well, again, ma'am, like I said, when the individual deletes something from their property, they need to notify the tax office, as well as they should be taking out a demolition permit as well to have the property torn down, whatever the case may be.
Most people just
So-
tear that thing down. They don't take out a permit. They just take that old building and just tear it down.
Yes, ma'am. And like I said, that sort of falls back on them. That is sort of their responsibility. We, do the best we can as far as when we're out pulling permits, when we're out driving from place to place, to catch new construction, to catch things that have been torn down that we see that's being done. But it is more us riding down the road and just having to look up on something more often than not, to make that type of adjustment.
So you gave the finance director and the auditor the number of real properties. How many real properties do we have here?
We have a little over 24,189 to the best of my memory.
So that's what they're using for the assessment type.
That's the total parcels.
That's the total,
of the county, yes.
right.
Now, some of those parcels would not be, part of our evaluation up here to generate revenue because they're exempt properties, such as county, city-owned properties, things of that nature, your lodges and what have you. So that is the total property count for the county, but like I said, not all of those do generate a source of revenue for the county.
So what figure are you using, Mr. Park, to tell us that the number of the property assessment? What figure are you using?
We're using valuation that was reported by, Kev's office.
And what was that, sir?
Well, I mean, we go back, it's in the presentation. I'll just show you
So everything that you
that
had.
is the total assessed value is 77,229,470.
That's the value,
That's the
but that's
total assessed
times
value.
those number of
Assessed
parcels.
But the number of parcels has no impact on the value. It's the cumulative total assessed value.
So there was, a question for me, if I may. So there was an actual, a number of assessed value previously, and we just, I think
Correct.
5 years ago, we did it, went 8%. So there was a number, a baseline, and we just put 15% on that baseline number, correct? Not counting the new stuff and everything else, but there was just a baseline of 15%.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think what will help in the future, is developing a concise plan for the reassessment. We understand staffing, we have drone technology.
We
There's
do.
so many ways that now we can ensure
GIS.
that as a county, that we are, because I read in the report that this is supposed to be a fair and equitable reassessment process. If we saying just a 15% across the board is the fair and equitable, that's semantics. We can argue and juggle, with that all night. But I think, we did the best we could for this budget, but I think in the future, we really need to be looking at processes and procedures, so we're not coming here and having to wrestle, with this process when, we know it's coming. We know
Right.
in another 5 years, there's gonna be a reassessment. We need to be making contingency for a real assessment of property, and so, people won't have to appeal, things that are not on their property, because if I'm the tax assessor or working in it, and I'm going out there and I can visually see, now I can go ahead and report, put it in my, computer, and I can go, we need to develop a plan to ensure that processes and procedures are followed, so we can look at that fair and equitable, statement and be okay with that statement, because this wasn't a fair process.
It wasn't.
Some people are gonna be taxed above what they need to, some people are gonna be taxed lesser than what they need to. But again, we're here, we did the best with this budget that we could possibly do. We spent a lot of time on this budget. We knew this, process was gonna come. We knew about the rollback, we knew about the recovery. So we're here at 98 mills, which is the same mills that were, last year. We can debate whether we captured those 4 mills, or that's a mill increase. We can debate that all day. The fact of the matter is, I think this is the best process that we have right now, and if I'm in order, we can approve, this millage rate with the expectation that as we go forward in this process, we're doing this process in a manner that is fair, equitable, and have boots on the ground, for lack of a better word, in reassessing these properties.
Even developing drones.
Wait. I just want to address Dr. Johnson, and you talk about the process of reassessment. Yes, we have reassessment in 2030 coming up. That gives us, we know that we have a problem
and we have some shortcomings with our reassessment process. So that gives us 5 years, and we'll be asking the council to say, okay, we're gonna need appraisers, we're gonna need some different things that's gonna help us do a much better reassessment, and that process isn't going to start just in 2030. That's gonna start a couple years back, because you gotta get people trained, you gotta get, process put in place to do some of the new construction over those, last couple years in that cycle. So I agree, just know that we're gonna be looking at council and saying, hey, we gotta get some things done for the new reassessment coming up, so that we can be in person as opposed to just a blanket.
Let's look at the technology
Let's
too.
look
There's a
at
lot
the
of people that
technology.
fly
I
drones.
agree, technology is
That
well.
is what these other counties are doing.
Technology
They're not doing what we're doing. They're using drone. They're using GIS and they're using drone. And that's a lot cheaper than putting another person in a car and sitting around. That's a lot cheaper.
Well, that's also, is a great idea, but drones, you gotta have people trained and certified to use a
License.
drone.
So you have to have
The drone is
license.
not a toy, where you just go there and just match the button and just ride around and fly around. But that's what Ms. Clapton was saying. We, as a council, gotta look, we gotta think forward and say, okay, when we do do drones and so forth, we gotta bring in the staff, people that could be able to train and use the drone. And be, that's way before, 2030, we probably, looking at that in 2026, 2027, and thought, doing it
Put
earlier.
together the plan, just
And, get ahead.
Sheriff Department has drone
They do.
operator right now.
I know, but we would need more than that, we would need more than 1 or 2. We talking about countywide, cause we use the sheriff drone, people, they would take away from his department. So, but anyway, like I said, we got plenty of time to debate and find options, so that's a good thing. So, we're not here tonight to, make a decision what we're doing, 5 years from now. We need to take care of business at hand. Do we have any more discussion before we make a
I
motion?
have one more for Mr. How can your property tax go up? Just by a millage increase?
There's.
Basically what we're talking about. Say, will there be, people's property taxes be increased for next year from what they paid last year?
Yeah, I mean, they could have.
Would that be an increase?
Our answer, yes.
Okay, that's what I
Yes,
need
there will
to
be
know.
an increase. We roll back to 93, we
Yeah.
right at 98. Let's move forward.
So, but there is that's what I wanna make sure, your property taxes are
You're
going
gonna
up,
have a higher value.
and you're gonna have a higher tax.
Okay, resolution 082501, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made in second. We done had discussion. All in favor? Okay, those opposed? Those abstain?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, you have that, ma'am? Okay, so we have enough to move forward. It is passed. Resolution 082502, a resolution authorizing submission of a land and water conservation grant application to the South Carolina Park Recreation and Tourism by Marlboro County for architectural and engineering fees, site work, irrigation, sod and drainage, lighting, and related outdoor recreation site improvement. Reimbursable purchase for projects as qualified under the Land and Water Conservation Grant for Marlboro County Government in an amount not to exceed $500,000, and authorization to accept grant if awarded.
Thank you. You have before you I just did a memo, indicating that we've got a resolution for an application for the 2026 Land and Water Conservation Grant. The resolution authorizes the county administrator or assigned staff to submit the preliminary application to Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. The proposed $1 million project, if approved by council and PRT, will allow the county to add lighting, 2 ball fields, install irrigation and sod, install new fencing, backstops, dugouts, and other field improvements based on current estimates. Preliminary required submission date is September 12th of 2025 in order to be considered for the application funding cycle, which runs every other year. So we only get a shot at this every other year. The maximum provide the match using proceeds from a general obligation bond to be issued in April of '27 in the amount of $1 million, with half of the proceeds going towards the project if awarded, and the other half of proceeds going towards county building and equipment needs. As stated in the resolution, the future issuance of the general obligation bond will be used as a match. Because Lindsay Park received funding in the past, it already has the required form of deed restriction, which designates a lifetime in perpetuity for outdoor recreational use. Previously, Marlboro County applied for land and water conservation grant funding in 2023, and prior to that, in 1983. The grants were awarded in 2024 and 1984. Construction of Lindsay Park facility is underway, and there is a change order that I'm going to present here later in the agenda for the county council approval. The recommendation here is to approve the resolution authorizing the land and water conservation grant application not to exceed $500,000. Are there any questions about this?
The change orders, that included in that part too also? When the
Not
GO
in
bond-
this is
That'd be separate.
this is an existing
This one's
project.
different.
Yeah.
Do you know when, if the grant will be awarded to us?
The grant, will make application, it'll be submitted, by December.
Okay, so
And
this
the
year.
award will take place, by October of '26. So it's
Okay.
it's a long cycle, and I think one of the issues that that a lot of governmental units, run into is if they don't plan this out, they'll miss, there's a requirement for the pre-application, in September 12th. So, if you miss that, then you're out for the next 2 years.
That's why you said it's gonna probably be GO bond for 2027, it's
That's
just so far
correct.
out, okay.
Yeah, so it'll work out just right with our schedule, and then the only portion that we would probably be paying out of pocket, we can do a reimbursement resolution just for, any, architectural and engineering type of expenses, but, this will keep that project going. $1 million wasn't enough to do everything we needed to do there. I think this will really finish that, that Lindsay Park.
So this grant right here will be allocated to Lindsay Park
Right, it would.
to complete the existing projects that are on the way right now?
Yeah, and we got 2 fields that don't have lighting, we've got 2 fields that need a lot more work than the other 3. So we kind of retained that within this application.
So this
That's
means
the recommendation.
somewhat of $2 million going to that Lindsay Park project.
That's correct. We're in the first million now, and then hopefully we'll get the award on this.
Did we have this a part of our budget?
It is, absolutely, it's a part of the budget process, it's a part of the capital plan.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve resolution 08-2502.
Second.
Motion been made and second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. We added, motion, item C of our new business, we add a motion of our new business request to add 2022, 2023, 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26 council minutes, budget, and credit card statement to the website. And we know that with credit card statements, we don't need no numbers or nothing to be, posted for scammers and hackers.
Mr. Chairman, we received this request, yesterday, and listen, for the things that are requested to be, posted on this kind of website, I personally have no objection to any of that, and we should just be more, forthcoming. And so, there's no problem, with the administration and any of my recommendations, I say we go forward.
Mr. Chair, Can we also amend this as far as to add something else to that?
I don't think it meant, once we don't add it to the,
Okay,
agenda.
I apologize.
Okay. Hearing that, do I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made in second. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Other boards and, appointments to board and commission, do we have any appointments?
Don't have any appointments, sir, but I stated in the last meeting, I do appreciate the airport board coming before us, but in our package, we should also have the minutes and some type minutes from these boards that we are appointing. We don't get anything unless someone invite them to come to the meeting, but I do think we need to require and ask that these boards give us some type, if they meet quarterly or monthly, we need some type reports in our package, so we can have an idea of what's going on with these boards and commissions.
Now, if we're gonna require, and that's a good idea, if we're gonna require that, so the boards that were formed by an ordinance, we have to actually redo an ordinance for that board.
We do.
Add a requirement that we receive minutes from the meetings, either quarterly or monthly or whenever they meet. So, just the information.
Okay.
That's not something we can't do. We just need to get it done the right way based on how that board was formed.
And I noticed that we did not finish our ordinance as far as we delayed the second reading for ordinance with the, especially with the policy committee. And I will make sure that all of you get the information, because we did not feel that we had ample enough time to make those decisions, because the political activity is one that we're still playing with. So in all honesty, I think the whole committee, the whole board members need to see that, then make a decision on it, because we do have some policies out there that, especially with the take-home vehicles, that needs to be addressed. We do need to go ahead and start working on having y'all input on as far as the political activities, and then move from there to look at the other ordinance, because people are talking about these take-home vehicles, and we do need to make sure that we go ahead and put something in place with this employee handbook.
Okay, acceptance of bids, approval of RFP for Marlboro and Market Street Landscape Project.
You have a memo in your packet. We did a request for proposal for the Marlboro and Market Street landscaping project. We received two proposals. We had a mandatory pre-proposal conference. We had two vendors that attended. There's a photo of the project area and a copy of the request for proposal. That was advertised in Skibo and the county website. The funding for the project is as follows. There's remaining USDA grant funding for the parking and window project, $16,857. Geo bond basically creates a match, $8,043, and then image project, this is part of the local accommodation funds, $24,955.28, for a total of $49,955.28. The criteria for the proposal for the project was evenly weighted between quality of presentation, quality of materials, prior experience, related projects and costs. Based on the evaluation, the staff recommendation is to award the contract, this landscaping project to Edge Landscaping and Construction LLC out of Aurora, South Carolina, in the amount of $49,955.28. You can kind of see the information that's attached. You can also see there's some photos of the actual project area. And then we have two different proposals in terms of, one has got a written landscaping plan, the other has more of a pictorial type of concept. So anyway, based on the recommendation, is to award the proposal for this project to Edge Landscape and Construction LLC.
thing, or?
Well, it is, we didn't spend a nickel, on the design. So rather than paying for a landscape plan, what we did is we did a request for proposal. And basically, we took what they presented and we evaluated that. So we didn't have to pay out of pocket, which, is,
You think it's pretty close apples to apples,
I
what they
think
did
it
is? I mean, cause I just seen one had a certain amount of vegetation and trees and this and that, and so.
it's very close. We had some
There was just a
certain
variable in there.
requirements as a part of the RFP too.
Got it.
Because one of the things that we did was, we said that they had to at least have 30, of the, pisciform, shrubberies that.
So they met the requirements.
So there was a requirement in terms of what they actually provided, yeah.
Mr. Paul, where did this project come about?
This is something that we've been talking about. When we did the parking lot, we had remaining funds. First off, we started, okay, we're gonna go ahead and get everything paid. Then what we did was we got something, the bid fortunately came in low enough that we were able to then resurface the other tiered parking along the side here. And we actually were able to create an exit, that was actually covered up with vines and everything. I didn't even know it was there. So that was one of the things that we ended up doing. We also did the masonry of the walls and such, because the brick was all kind of busted up, and so, we were able to get Mallory Oxidine to go ahead and cap that, so it's really an outgrowth of that parking project. And we do have little over $100,000 budgeted in, image projects for local accommodations tax. Local accommodations is a 3% tax that we collect from lodging establishments, and they're all within the city limits of Bennettsville, so we think this is really an appropriate way to spend it.
Was there any money left over from the paving that could pay for that?
Well, that's part of what is
That's
in
part
here.
of what's in
That's
there.
the 16,957.
So that money can only be used on the outside of buildings, nothing can be used inside for the image project?
Right, yeah.
Cause I'm saying that, cause I just,
What we're really it's designed to do is to address the appearances. It's tourism related to address appearances.
yeah, I just had some county employees, express some, not dissatisfaction, but just some concerns about beautifying the outside when there are some things on the inside of that building from a health related, thing that needs to be addressed, and they was concerned that we were, trying to look good on the outside, but not allocating money to improve, the inside infrastructure, at the courthouse and some of the
Right.
other buildings, so
Their
they were just
day-to-day
concerned.
use. I had those concerns too,
So if this money is a
something that was already.
residual from another project,
Right.
I can kind of see that, but wanted to make sure that their voices are being echoed about some of the things that they think they need within the building to make their work living conditions suitable for work.
Okay, so our recommendation, your recommendation to sell.
Is to go ahead and, to award the project to, Edge Landscaping Construction LLC in an amount not to exceed $49,955.38.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made second, we'll accept, Mr. Paul's recommendation, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, approval of change order in the amount of $999,975 to expand the facility at Lindsay Park to include 2 additional toilets for the women's restroom, an additional toilet and urinal for the men's restroom.
Okay, thank you. Attached, you can find the change order request in the amount of the $99,975 to expand the facility. This change order, will expand the size of the facility by 15 feet, 6 inches, so 15 and a half feet by 30 feet, which increases the overall size of that facility, that is getting ready to go per square feet. The square foot, the initial approved facility was 367 for 1,560 at a cost of about $235 a foot. I've included a project budget of $1 million, which also, this change order has also been approved by PRT prior to me presenting to you. There should be, I think there's an email in there as well. When the project was designed and bid, the thought was to rehab the existing restroom facilities. You kind of see the conditions of them, really bad. I don't think that's feasible, and I think that, you know, we've got a good contractor, and we think that this is really the appropriate thing. Plus, the facility itself is gonna be very close to the old restroom, so yeah, I would just hate that, you know, the visual would be pretty bad to look at this. So, my recommendation is to approve the change order expanding this, facility to, include the additional, restroom fixtures.
Is that, would that have to take a budget?
No, it's already
It's already included.
built in the existing budget. We were able to come in under with, we went out for the original bid, we didn't know where the construction cost was gonna come in. And fortunately, it came in lower and we're able to absorb that within the project. The way it works out now, basically half of it will go towards the facility, the other half will go towards, the fields and the fencing.
Can I get a motion?
Hold up.
What?
Okay, let's go.
I'm looking at, what foresight do we have? Because this is a lot of money being allocated to Lindsay Park.
Sure.
What foresight do we have, because I only see Lindsay Park being used during baseball season.
Me too.
Is there any, foresight on how can we, repurpose the use of Lindsay Park, not just for those couple of months, during, baseball, softball
One of
season?
the things we're talking about is actually doing a CDBG grant to do, really nice playground facilities. So I think incorporating that, I'm sure there's a lot of other things that could happen out there. But when we look at that facility, it's really been 40 years of neglect. And,
Just like everything else?
yeah.
Like the roars, just like the roars in this county.
But I have no problem, because I think Lindsay Park is an asset, but, this is a lot of money going to a project where, only 2 or 3 months of time is spent out there. So if we're looking at enhancing Lindsay Park, we also need to look at, the future use of that space to be able to, capitalize on the money that we're.
We are looking at fall leagues and that kind of stuff for the softball and the baseball. I'm not guaranteeing that, but we're looking at that very closely. May not happen this year, but that's.
So, what would you?
Soccer plays out there.
Soccer.
So
I think you moved it at one time, didn't you?
right, they moved it at one time, but we do have some of the fall sports that get played, like some of the smaller age groups of football and softball, and soccer, they go out there sometimes. So we do have some things out there, but you're right. If we can utilize that thing all year round for even some of the winter, something that we can do that just maximizes what we can do for our.
Yeah, because what I've noticed, we call our parks. All across the county, we got Bennett Park, Lindsay Park. If you really look at it, those are not parks. Those are just, empty
to play.
spaces almost. So we really gonna be focusing on parks and recreation and those things that we need to really make our parks. And then whether CBD grants and other type of things, because I feel bad when I ride past Bennett Park. I ain't even gonna lie. I feel bad at, we just do the court, but.
We did the course, and now the field absolutely needs some work over there. That needs some work. That's gonna take some pretty good work over there.
Also, knowing that, Mr. Coakley just got in place as director, we have to bring him and his team in, use some ideas also, along with our recreation advisory board, and say, look, how can we enhance? What else can we do? And like I say, and brainstorm, we gotta do some brainstorm. That's something that, like I said, will take time, and we have to, use our imagination, cause we gotta go way outside the box here.
And
We
po-
need to.
One
point,
question. Go ahead, Mr.
point well taken too. In that community meeting, when Dr. Johnson cited about the fact that we're just using parks just for like recreation, stickball and all those things. But there's no walking trails in this community. That could be enhanced through those parks. And so when we're looking at just utilizing for youth, we need to look at the entire community, seniors and everybody, find a way to utilize walking trails, and that area is paved, so we need to be thinking about that too. And I'm just throwing that out also.
I think there's some funding out there for walking trails.
That would be something we need to be considering then.
That's part of CDBG, what they talk about is, playgrounds, walking trails, and those kind of things, so.
Okay.
That's, and that, when we talked last night, that's one thing I was really referring to.
How much land is undeveloped that we own at Lindsay Park?
I don't know what that,
I'm not sure, it's not,
it's probably, you think it's 20 acres?
undeveloped, I don't think
Well,
it's
not
that much.
undeveloped, but total acreage.
Total is 23, I believe,
Yeah.
but undeveloped, I think we may be looking at, I don't know, I think less
But
than.
there will be an opportunity to find out what's undeveloped, so we own it, to find out what to do. I mean, talk about
To
to
expand.
expand, that would be, that, you know, if you're gonna spend $2 million on a property, I think just go ahead and have a plan that if you expand, what else we can do.
Thank you for
With that,
bringing that point
Mr. Chairman,
out.
I make a motion that we approve the change order in the amount specified. Second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor of change order? Unanimous. Okay. Next we have the reports. I answered that, council, hold all your questions till the reports are made through, by Mr. Paul and Mr. Clyburn. And when they get through their report, then we can make, your comments and questions, okay? Mr. Paul, yes, sir.
I do want to answer that question, and I'm looking here, and you're looking at approximately, 4 acres on the corners, that's undeveloped, so that's, I mean, there's some things we can do out there.
4 acres on both sides or total 4 acres?
No, it's about acre and a half on one side, that's kind of odd shape, another kind of a triangle shape of about 2 acres. So there's some things we can do in the corners, clear that out, and put some playground, put some walking stuff, or some outdoor exercise equipment. Whatever we need to do, we do have some room to do some of that stuff in the future.
Courts.
Okay. Mr. Paul?
General fund revenues for the period ending July 31 totaled, $613,250 in comparison to $993,343 for the month ended July 31, 24. Revenues are lower because of the timing of collection of state intergovernmental revenues in the previous year. General fund expenditures for the month ended July 31, 2025 total $1,020,708 of a $16,492,894 budget, or 6.19% of budget year to date. General fund expenditures totaled $1,148,981 for the same period in the prior year. In conclusion, revenues are lower because of the timing difference with collections, and expenditures are lower in comparison this year because the amounts that were paid in July of 24 were greater. So I'll continue to monitor and update and communicate any changes to this report. This is only 1 month into our fiscal year, so there's not a lot to really, that stands out at this point in time. I think, all of our expenditures are in line at this point. Yeah. Any questions?
Do we know how we ended last year?
No, we're still, we're gonna have we're preparing all of the closing entries. Our auditors actually come in and do the report. They'll do the rest of the testing and the report work. They're gonna start the very end of September. So we still have a lot of, journal entries that have to be posted, before they come. So we'll have a much better idea
Well, I have a question then. That's what he just asked. So the expenditures that coming in for July,
Right.
they will also be part of the 2025 budget, is that right?
Well, depends on what the
Right.
expenditures that are posted here are gonna be a part of the 25-26 budget. You know, we do some accruals, like particularly with salaries and benefits, but, I think all of the expenditures that are posted here are for the new fiscal year.
So-
They're not related to the prior.
So everything we have posted here is 2026, 25, 26.
That's correct.
But for those things that did not get paid or come through in 2025, what funds will those come from?
We've actually posted those in the prior year.
So that was everything that was posted in, when we got our July report for June, that was all the expenditures?
No, because we're still posting things to that prior fiscal year. Just like revenues as well. We'll accrue some revenues. We'll have some collections, for example, state share revenues. A lot of that ends up coming in August, but it's actually for the prior fiscal year. So, there are things like that take place within 60 days at the end of the fiscal year.
My reason for asking that, Mr. Park, I was just devastated to know that we was a $1.5 million deficit, and so knowing that some other things are still out there, that to me makes me think that there was still some more things in that cause a greater deficit for us.
Well, the same with that, there's also revenues that'll be accrued in as well. So I think that's where we're gonna end up, best estimate is $1.5 million deficit. All right, any other questions regarding the financial report? I've got the other two reports, of course, the one on cash balances. It's a 3-page report. We've got general fund, proprietary funds, capital projects, debt service, we have special revenue funds, and then, of course, our fiduciary funds, which are effectively held for other entities. So, anyway, I don't know if there's any questions about that. Be glad to.
Just one comment, since these are new totals for these accounts, is that correct? These are the 2026, 2025, 2026 totals?
This is the balance at the end of July.
July.
So whatever is in those cash accounts, the last day of the month is what's reported.
So the treasurer, the new treasurer, she has an idea of what these balances are, is that correct?
I think so. One thing I did is I shared with her that PowerPoint that I did on all of the different bank accounts and, classified them in terms of how they fit in, whether or not it's a part of general fund, whether it's a part of a special revenue fund, whether it's a part of a proprietary fund. So I think, she, and plus I know that she just last week she was at training, so, I think,
Yeah, she
and
was
she's
at
got a good
training.
staff.
She was at training, but the question I have is, we knew that from the past treasurer, that she knew what was in all those accounts, because she had access to all those bank statements. Will this treasurer have access to the bank statements in these accounts?
Yeah, she does have access to all of the bank accounts. And I'll be glad to send this report to her on a monthly basis, if that may be another benefit to her. The very last report has to do with our capital projects activity. There's not a whole lot here because, most all of our capital projects outside of the Lindsay Park project are completed. And the Park Center.
You made a comment last time that the interest that's been accrued on some of this American Rescue Plan money funds, we're already using some of the interest of those funds?
That's a part of the project fund, yes.
So basically, we're gonna be left with just what we call the capital if we're using interest, is that not right?
Well, we'll expend all of the proceeds as well as the interest income.
I'm just concerned that if we're in an interest and we have a certain amount of, designated for a project, but we're already using interest, the capital, the funds that's allocated, let's say 3 million on a project, and we're using the interest off that already.
Well, we use the interest within those capital funds, so if we've got, like, for example, if we've got a project that we budgeted for, say, 250,000, and we end up with 253,000 in expenditures, you know, we'll be able to cover that difference with the interest income.
I just know that 2026, I'm hoping that we're not gonna have a shortfall when we have to report these funds. That's what my concern is.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Okay.
Mr. Clyburn.
Good evening. I just want to start by announcing our first annual Military Appreciation Day that will take place August 23rd, Saturday, August 23rd at 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the airport, on Airport Road in Bentonville, or Marlboro County, sorry. So we will have that. We're working with ROTC units from Marlboro County High and other counties actually that are, their schools are going to be coming to do what they call a joint, kind of a joint procedure that they're going to do together. And all of this is also the National Guard is going to be there, and this is going to be a dedication to Marlboro County veterans as well. So I do want to thank Sergeant Chapman over at Marlboro County High, and also our mayor, Mr. Tyler Abraham. He also played a part in getting this put together. I want to thank those gentlemen, and again, stress to the public, we're going to have Military Appreciation Day. It's something out there for everyone. We're going to have set up from the National Guard, and it's going to be a pretty good day out there, really great day. So just invite everybody to come out. Fall sports signups. You know, we are currently doing signups for football, soccer, volleyball, and cheerleading. We did add volleyball this year. We wanted to get some more women's sports in there, so we added volleyball as well. And anyone can sign up at marlborosc.myrec.com. That's generally the website that all the Parks and Rec departments across the state usually use to do the sign-ups and that kind of thing. But again, marlborosc.myrec.com. I want to talk about the community meeting we had on healthcare. We had one last night, and we had a lot of comments, a lot of suggestions, a lot of ideas. We're going to have another one this coming Monday, August 18th, at the Marlboro County Golf Complex Banquet Hall. And in this meeting, we will also discuss Ordinance 872. It's been made public now, so we'll discuss that and give some more insight on Ordinance 872 as it relates to healthcare in Marlboro County. So we invite everybody to come out once again, August 18th, that's a Monday, at 6 p.m. at the banquet hall. And also want to invite council members to come out as well. I want to talk about some of the improvements and some of the different things that we've had a chance to get done in Marlboro County. First of all, I want to talk about the DSS building. You know, that building has been in some bad shape. You know, there was a report issued in 2018 that it needed some work. So, you know, we were just made aware of that a few months ago, and so we're getting it taken care of. We have handicap accessible doors that have been placed out there now, and that's a requirement, we all know. And we do have a security entry for the employees that was placed out there. And we fixed the roof. We did repair the roof, and we're still monitoring for leaks. You know, if there's some other pinpoint leaks that we may need to look at as well, we're gonna track that down, but we have fixed the roof over there. We still need to make the bathrooms ADA compliant over there, so, and as you know, that's a requirement, so we do need to do that as well. And the next thing at the courthouse, you know, we've got a camera system put in place, we replaced the metal detectors, we were borrowing those from the school district, we gave them those back, and we replaced those. We made the bathroom in there ADA compliant, and that's something we needed to do as well. And we didn't get dinged for that, for anything, come before council once we have received an estimate, of course. But we don't know what it's gonna be, what it's gonna entail, but we need to get it taken care of, but, we're looking at that as well. Road maintenance, I know there's been some issues with road maintenance and getting some roads done, but I would ask the public, please be patient, as we are working on roads throughout the county, some of the recent rains that we have had. Including Mr. Covington, we only have 5 road crew members. And so we want to make sure that, give us some time to get done, to get done. But we're also awaiting a part from one of our smaller tractors that enables us to cut the bottom part of some of the brush along the roads. And we're also waiting, that's gonna cost $5,100, but we are getting that fixed, waiting on that part. We also waiting on our side cutter to be fixed. And this allows us to do side cutting ditches and also up high where you have some of the tree branches that are hitting some of the cars and some of those really narrow roads in the county. They are county roads, so we are obligated to fix those. But we're waiting on that side cutter to do that. And that's gonna be $8,311 to get that fixed, but that's already in the shop now. And that money that we have fixing that is budgeted already, but it's gonna cut it kind of thin once we get that fixed, and we just take care of the equipment the best we can, and hopefully we won't have any more things that are fixed. But that's it. Any questions? Well, I do wanna mention one other thing. Ms. Betty Jo Quick, she did come here and talk, but she asked also, she let us know last night that they have a Marlboro countywide third time meeting that will be at Carroll Field, and that's gonna be Wednesday, October 27th at 6:30 p.m. Anybody's interested, come on out, for everyone in the community. It's gonna be 6:30, August 27th, that's a Wednesday, so, we invite everyone to come out, bring your lawn chairs, and we're gonna be out there and have a good time, so, that's pretty much it. Any questions from council?
I have some questions, Mr. Cotton.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a plan in place for potential flooding? Maybe purchasing sandbags and have some sand
Yeah,
sites?
yes. So last year, we had the flooding and stuff, we did have to purchase sandbags and that kind of thing. So we learned from last year, because we hadn't had to do that before. And so we are gonna do some of the same things we did as far as getting sandbags. We kind of we know where we're gonna place the sand, and we have the tents ready. And so we don't have to wait last minute to kind of get that done. We had that plan in place already for that.
So have we purchased any sandbags or anything like that
We haven't
yet?
purchased sandbags yet, and that's a good point. We probably need to look at going ahead and purchasing those now. 'Cause
And
we don't know
price
when
and
it's
sand,
gonna happen.
and the
Yes.
price of sand?
Right. Now, we have a lot of sand.
Okay.
At the camp. So
Okay.
that's just a matter of waiting till we need it, you can bring it over there.
Okay. I talked to you last night and told you about the detention center, mentioned that there's some flooding there.
Yes.
So please follow up, because there's some major things going on there in some of the laundry room and the kitchen area.
Yes.
And only because that's my district, I've been trying to stay involved with that. And will also please check on the animals at the animal shelter.
Yes.
So the other question I have is, it was brought out last night, and I don't want to get into a long, drawn-out thing, but people were asking, where are we with the aquatic center?
Yes.
And
so-
that was said last night, so just for the record, let people know where we are with that,
Okay,
please.
so with the aquatic center, we have already, started, well, we haven't started actual construction. One thing that we did, we were starting to clear everything off, and DHEC came, and they actually wanted us to do change the plans on the drainage. Because you have to have a plan to drain out the pool and where that water goes, and then if you have that, at the same time you have a rain, there needs to be a drainage plan. And so, CP&L, they're actually going back and finishing that and getting approval from SCDOT. And we're just waiting that approval, and the city will reissue the permit, and we're gonna keep going. So, that's where we are with that. We're just waiting on that, and, things are still, on pace.
Okay.
So, go ahead. So the firm didn't get the correct stuff from the get-go?
They got what they thought they were supposed to have. The DHEC came back and said, well, we would like to get something a little bit different here. And so,
project itself, it was asked last night, when do we anticipate the final conclusion of this project?
So we're still looking at getting everything, done. I'm not sure if it's gonna be by the end of the year or not, and we're not under any restrictions to have that done by then, but we were hoping to get it done by the end of December. But it may go into January, but, that's not swimming time anyway. And, as I said last night, we're gonna be looking at, funds as far as operating that, but that operation won't start till next summer, to be swimming, summer of 2026. And I can't give you a definite date right now of when that's gonna be, but again, we're just waiting on construction and other things that we have to put together for that.
And my last comment is, I was hoping you would mention something about this.
Yeah,
I have copies for all the council members and everybody. You can have a copy too if you don't have it. But this event has to do with the city, the county, and everyone. We are part of this. The emergency, there's gonna be a senior, what we call preparedness and resource for emergency preparedness, and it's gonna be for senior citizens, our county and our city, Vantage Point, the Department of Aging, and all of that, even the South Carolina EMD. They're going to be a part of this. So this is something Marlboro County will be
yeah, I just
being
wanna
a
say,
part of.
We do wanna show credit to everybody who did put into that. City of Bennettsville was, and they're very instrumental in helping us out with that, as they have been with a lot of things, different things we've done. And the Department on Aging, we gotta thank Walgreens, South Carolina EMD, Care South also. And so we wanna make sure we invite everyone out to the community center on September 9th at 11 a.m. It's gonna be open to Marlboro County residents, free COVID-19 tests and emergency, kit materials, and that will include, the radios that they're gonna give out.
For seniors 60 and,
For
for seniors 60 and older,
65 or 60.
60 and older.
60 and older, are invited to come out, and, 60 and up, come on out. I barely missed the cut, but come on out and get your stuff, get your radio, and we have other stuff that we're gonna give out to the city as well. In preparation for these events, for these, storms and that kind of thing. We have a lot of those things in Marlboro County, and it just helps to have individuals themselves that are prepared at home, especially those who don't have cell phones to get some of these different, notifications that they have just landlines. And so that's why it's very important. And so, there's a limited supply, I think 300.
We're looking at
But we're
300,
trying to
but
get
we're
more.
pulling something with the Council on Aging
Right.
to pull out some for senior citizens. And the only reason I know so much about this project, because I contacted this state EMS, state EMD, and I'm a part of the emergency preparedness group in South Carolina. And this project is in Lexington and maybe Aiken County. I was able to ask them, could we bring this to Marlboro County, and they were willing to do that.
And that's gonna be a great event. It's gonna be very helpful. And we already know hurricane season is coming, whether we want it to or not, it's coming. And everything we can do, that we prepare for that, is gonna be to everyone's advantage. But that's all I have. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Clyburn,
Yes, sir.
I filed a FOIA request on June 2026 for rodeo funds. I have not received that. That's been over 45 days. I did get an acknowledgement within the 10 that's required, but we're still talking about 35 days that I asked for some information. I have not received it yet. Do we know, how long will it take for me to receive that information?
I'll have it tomorrow morning.
Thanks, sir.
I actually thought I put it in that packet with the other stuff, but, it's not in there. I'll get it to you tomorrow morning.
Thanks, sir.
And I also filed a FOIA
Yeah,
request.
And you got your response.
It is to say within the days, but 20 days have already almost passed. So I'll just let y'all look at the date. I also CC'd it to the lawyer.
Right.
Okay. Thank you,
Listen, we have no problem getting that information that you requested in the FOIA.
thank you.
So we'll get that to you. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, request a response from council members. Steve, you have anything you want to add? You say anything, any comment?
I just like to thank council and administrative office and, all the work we've done on this budget and, thank you for saving those citizens those 24 meals. And one more thing, the O'Neill family, I want to keep them in prayers. Mr. Charles O'Neill passed away today, and I just want to keep that family in the prayers.
I'd like to thank the council and all the constituents in our areas. And I think going forward, with different visions that we do have, I think it would be very important to consult with the directors of or the heads of the area that we're looking at putting money into. Because I think about putting $2 million into actually the baseball fields out there, but we didn't have no vision for it. So I think going forward, communication would be better. And also if we can consult with the council a little more, because sometimes your constituent asks you about certain things going on in the county that we don't know or aware of, and they're telling us what's going on. So somebody leaking our information somewhere. So I think it'd be very important that if we can collaborate more, put our heads together so we can be on the same page. So when different constituents ask us different questions, we'll be able to answer with the same answers.
You good?
Again, thank you to council for the tremendous amount of work that we put in to ensure that we had a budget. Everybody may not have agreed on that budget, but it was passed, and I think we're doing the best job that we can under these circumstances. I might be preempting myself, but I want to congratulate Councilwoman Lawson
Thank you.
for her recognition in being a level 1 and a level 2 certification by the Institute of Government. She did a tremendous job to ensure that she had all of her classes, and she just didn't go to the class, y'all, just to sign the paperwork. She went, took notes, and had information, connected with people, networked with other people, and I ran into her at this year's council, and there was a guy from Anderson County,
The
and we had
auditor.
an auditor, and just it takes stuff like that, because if we're wanting to move Marlboro County forward, some other county, some other person has some other ideas that we can adopt. And that's the purpose of going to the Institute of County, to really and truly not only learn, but to network and see how other people are doing something that we can adopt and add to what we're doing here in Marlboro County. I want to extend my condolences to Ms. Joette Dukes, who is the executive
Yes.
director of our PD COG. Her mother passed on last week, and so we want to send our condolences to her and her family, and also the gentleman family that Councilman Blackman just alluded to. Please keep everybody in prayer. We're coming into hurricane season, and based on the weather information, is probably going to be a real active hurricane season. So we're praying that it doesn't, but the likelihood that we will get a hurricane winds and water is a great likelihood. So we really need to be forecasting on what are we going to do from an emergency preparedness perspective. I like this event right here, but let us make sure that we're prepared and we just don't get hit, with flood water and wind. I think the last couple of days, that the heavy rain, it flooded an area. It hadn't been a hurricane, so we're looking to possibly mitigate whatever damage can be done if we prepare correctly.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Yes, I made a copy of my certification for the clerk to file, but thank you so much. But then thank you to all of you who, for the congratulations and posting it on the website. I just want to also say that my certification means a lot to me, but I pray that all of us get certified, because that's one thing that was there. Out of all the counties, they recognize being certified, and whatever I can do to tell you what classes you need to take online, I can. I don't mind sharing my knowledge. The other thing I want to also say, that while at the conference, Ms. Blanchard from the NACO, those of us who get NACO information, it is important information, because there's a lot in NACO that we need to be looking at those emails. They have a lot in there, but one of the things that she brought to our attention of our new treasurer, Ms. Bracy, our membership fee. And so, Mr. Park, I think she's taking care of that, but y'all make sure that for these associations that our membership fees, because it involves council, that they are paid. But I do know that Ms. Brace is on top of that. She's responded and confirmed that that will be paid. The other thing I want to also make the announcement, just some events that has to do with cancer. Since we have a committee, I want to just give each one of y'all this too. You're definitely invited. I'll give one to y'all over here, but I'll use this for information. But just the fact that it's a lunch and learn on August 21st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's going to be about hearing some providers, and this is going to go in line with some of the things that we're looking at. But it's going to be a doctor, his name is Dr. Sumter out of Scotland. He's going to come and talk to men and women about cancer and some of the risk factors that involves both of us, men and women. And we're going to have some cancer survivors and maybe a caregiver and advocate talking about that. So you're welcome to sign up just through the QR code. You're welcome, anybody is welcome to sign up. So I hope that this will be a good event that we all participate in. And I'll leave one that you can post if you like, sir, if you want to have that, and want to have that to post for our county, that would be great. The other thing I would also like to say again, Mr. Chair, I hope that we can look at pulling a meeting together so we can go ahead and look at that ordinance that has to do with our policies, so that we can be ready to do the second reading. I think we're ready for the second reading, but we haven't done it, so hadn't done the second reading. We need to do that. I know that we're gonna be having our meeting in August where we do the third reading of this 872 ordinance, but we need to have that, and so hopefully we can get that so we can get that in place. But other than that, thank you so very much, everyone, for the hard work that you're doing for the county.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, back to the chair. Can I get a motion?
So move.
All in favor? All right.